Earth's message to the Galactic Council was as clear as it was final. This is your last warning. Stand down, or face consequences. It was a message that cut through the silence of space, resonating with a calm but unmistakable weight. Across the Council's chambers, representatives from every major species stared at the transmission in disbelief. The Council's leaders, proud, towering beings who had spent centuries dominating and ruling, exchanged glances of contempt. They barely took a moment to consider the warning. After all, this was Earth, a planet whose technology was, by their standards, crude and primitive. Earthlings were young, their knowledge limited, their resources even more so. Yet here they were, boldly issuing ultimatums as if they had the strength to stand against the might of the Council's forces. Some Council members laughed outright. Others muttered that humanity was getting far too bold for a species so unrefined. An advisor turned to the High Counselor, a being clad in armor adorned with the emblems of 1,000 conquered worlds. Shall we respond? The High Counselor waved a dismissive hand. No need. Let them make their hollow threats. This message is nothing but posturing. Earth has no concept of what true power looks like. The Council's decision was swift. Earth would be made into an example, a warning to any other worlds daring enough to think they could challenge the Council. Fleets were assembled, massive armadas filled with ships designed to crush civilizations in days. Thousands of advanced vessels, each one bristling with weapons capable of reducing entire continents to ash, prepared to launch. The plan was simple: arrive, dominate, and subdue. No negotiations, no mercy. They would strip Earth of its defenses, reduce its cities to rubble, and remind the galaxy of their unshakable dominance. The news of the impending assault spread like wildfire across Council-controlled systems. Rumors circulated, each one more dramatic than the last. Many watched with morbid anticipation, eager to witness humanity's swift and brutal downfall. Earth, they believed, was about to face the full, unrelenting might of the galaxy's greatest force. On Earth, however, things were different. Humanity was not panicking, nor were they scrambling to defend themselves in a conventional sense. Across every government and military station, there was an unusual calm, a quiet, steady resolve. Leaders were informed, discussions held behind closed doors, and strategies reviewed. But the typical signs of terror and chaos were absent. Earth was preparing in a way that no outsider could understand. Unknown to the Galactic Council, humanity had developed something unique, something that went beyond the Council's comprehension. And in those quiet rooms where Earth's leaders gathered, they discussed a plan not of defense but of resolve. No speeches, no parades, no displays of power. The world waited, silent and poised. On the day of the Council's fleet departure, Earth's response was as quiet as ever. They issued no further warnings, no pleas for mercy. They had said all they needed to say. Humanity's last transmission to the Council, a brief and measured message, was simple. You were warned. As the Council's massive fleet approached Earth, the human population carried on with an unusual, almost eerie calm. While the galaxy anticipated Earth's panic, expecting humanity to crumble in fear, those on Earth continued with their lives in quiet confidence. No mass mobilization, no desperate evacuation. For the first time, Earth's leaders had absolute faith in a defense system so advanced, even they barely understood its true power. They called it the Sentinel. It wasn't just a weapon, it was an autonomous, hyper-advanced system designed to act without hesitation or error, reacting with speed beyond human capability. Years of relentless research, hidden from the galaxy's prying eyes, had resulted in something unprecedented. The Sentinel was humanity's last resort, a mechanism created not for conquest but for protection, activated only in response to an immediate threat. Now, as the Council's fleet closed in, it lay silent but ready, awaiting the moment it would be needed. Earth's military and political leaders watched the fleet's approach on their screens. Each had placed their trust in the Sentinel, and now that trust would be put to the ultimate test. They exchanged no words, knowing that every possible preparation had been made. With quiet resolve, they observed as the Council's fleet entered the outer perimeters, closing in with confidence and menace, completely unaware of the invisible threshold they were about to cross. Across human military bases, encrypted messages flashed, but no orders were given beyond standing by. Humanity's silent resolve confounded the few alien observers who monitored the situation. There were no visible defenses deployed, no frantic mobilizations. Some questioned whether Earth was surrendering in silence, or if they had somehow misjudged humanity's intent entirely. Meanwhile, Earth scientists and engineers monitored the Sentinel's systems, checking diagnostics, running silent tests. All were ready. There was no need for speeches or last-minute adjustments. Everyone involved knew that from this moment forward, the Sentinel was on its own, designed to act with precision and accuracy unmatched by any other weapon in the galaxy. They had entrusted it with the task of ensuring humanity's survival, and they would interfere no further. At the heart of the Sentinel, silent yet fiercely alert, was a network of technology engineered to detect, calculate, and neutralize threats with efficiency. The Council's fleet was unaware of the vast web of sensors that had already locked onto them, tracking each ship's speed, trajectory, and vulnerabilities. The human defense system observed everything, every variation in energy output, every slight adjustment in their formation. Nothing went unnoticed. As the Galactic Council's ships moved within range, they were completely oblivious to the fact that they had triggered something vast and complex. Humanity's representatives did not reach out with another message, nor did they issue any further warnings. The plan was in motion, and the final test of Earth's resilience had begun. This was not a show of force or a display of power. It was humanity's answer to the Council's hubris, a response woven into silence and steel. In the final moments before the inevitable, Earth's last communication fell silent. From this point forward, it was no longer about words, no longer about warnings. The moment the Council's fleet crossed the invisible boundary, the Sentinel activated in a flawless cascade of reactions. There was no warning, no announcement. In absolute silence, the vast defense system came to life, unleashing a calculated response that moved faster than any human or Council pilot could comprehend. Streams of energy lashed out from unseen points around Earth, striking the lead ships in the Council's formation with deadly precision. Shields that were thought to be impenetrable flickered and collapsed instantly. Advanced hulls, designed to withstand the worst of known weaponry, began disintegrating under the sheer force of the Sentinel's assault. Ship after ship was neutralized in a matter of seconds, each one falling with an eerie efficiency that no Council force had ever witnessed. From the command ships to the smallest escorts, the Council fleet found themselves under attack from a force they couldn't even see. There was no time for defense or counterattack. The Sentinel's weapons were not traditional missiles or lasers. They were beams of pure, refined energy designed to bypass defenses, targeting critical points on each vessel with exacting accuracy. The Council's fleet, once a wall of gleaming power and might, crumbled in rapid succession, their formations shattered as they attempted to evade the relentless assault. Onlookers from nearby systems, who had anticipated Earth's swift defeat, watched in stunned silence as the fleet was wiped out, leaving only fragments of metal and debris in its wake. The speed of the destruction defied all logic, leaving witnesses questioning if they had truly seen what had just occurred. Council allies and neutral parties alike stared in shock at the remnants of a once mighty fleet, now reduced to floating wreckage. There were no survivors to report back. Each vessel had been neutralized with unerring precision, leaving no chance for escape or even distress signals. The Sentinel operated as if guided by an intelligence far beyond ordinary programming, anticipating each possible move, dismantling each ship before it could alter course. In seconds, the Council's plan to dominate Earth was obliterated, erased with a silence that spoke louder than any declaration of war. Those who witnessed the event scrambled to understand what had happened, replaying data, analyzing fragments of what little information they had. The Council's technology, praised as the pinnacle of galactic advancement, had not even posed a challenge. It was as if Earth had somehow prepared for this encounter down to the finest detail, anticipating every maneuver, every defense, until the Council's forces were left with nothing but ruin. Among the few encrypted channels that carried news across the galaxy, word spread of the Sentinel's quiet, devastating power. A system meant only for defense had demonstrated a level of destruction that shook even the most distant worlds. The Council's long-standing image of invincibility was shattered, their might erased not by an overwhelming army, but by a calculated response delivered in silence. As the final fragments of the fleet drifted through space, Earth remained quiet, offering no explanation, no statement of victory. For them, this was not a victory. It was simply the inevitable response to a threat that had disregarded every warning. The galaxy was left to interpret Earth's silence in the wake of the devastation, left to wonder what other secrets humanity might be holding in reserve. The Council was left reeling. Their fleet, once the embodiment of power, had been obliterated in moments, with no clear explanation. The loss was more than ships. It was a blow to their authority, a complete dismantling of their self-assured superiority. Council members, once confident in their control over the galaxy, were thrown into disarray, grasping for answers. This was not supposed to happen, not from a species they had deemed inconsequential. They struggled to understand how Earth, a young, unremarkable world by their standards, could wield such unimaginable power. Desperation set in as Council leaders met to assess the disaster. In their minds, the response had to be some anomaly, an unforeseen trick, an isolated advantage. Yet, every scan, every report told the same story. The fleet had been annihilated with surgical precision, leaving no room for retaliation. Whispers of fear began to circulate among the Council's allies, as word spread of humanity's deadly potential. For the first time in generations, the Council felt a hint of vulnerability, the unthinkable possibility that they might not be the absolute power they once believed. In a desperate attempt to regain some measure of control, the Council sent a delegation to Earth. It was no longer a show of strength but a plea for understanding, a search for something that might make sense of their failure. They needed answers. Earth's response, however, was as chilling as their initial warning: silence. Earth's leaders offered no explanation, no reassurances, not even a hint of their intentions. The Council's delegation returned with nothing but the weight of their own confusion and dread. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, perspectives shifted rapidly. Races who had lived under the Council's rule with quiet obedience began to see a different path. Earth had done what no other species had dared: stand firm, defend itself, and without fanfare or cruelty, shatter the Council's image of invulnerability. Planets that had once seen Earth as a curious anomaly now viewed humanity with deep respect, and even the faint hope that perhaps the Council was not as invincible as they had believed. In hushed conversations on distant worlds, the name, Earth, was spoken with a new reverence. Quiet alliances formed, subtle inquiries made to Earth's ambassadors, gestures of goodwill from those who sensed a shift in the galactic order. For humanity, it was never about conquest or control. They had made their stance clear from the start. But now, whether they wanted it or not, they held a position of influence, a force of balance that others recognized, even if the humans themselves downplayed it. The Council was left with a bitter realization. They had underestimated not just humanity's technology but their spirit, their refusal to be intimidated or manipulated. Earth's silence now echoed louder than any declaration, a powerful reminder that while they sought peace, they were more than capable of defending it. The Council, still stunned by the turn of events, faced an undeniable truth. They had no choice but to leave Earth in peace, to turn their attention to the survival of their own reputation and influence. They could only watch as Earth continued on, unchanged, offering neither threats nor apologies. In the wake of the Council's retreat, an unspoken agreement settled across the galaxy. No formal peace treaty was signed, no official recognition of Earth's strength was issued, yet everyone understood. Earth was off limits. Even the most aggressive Council members, who had once seen humanity as an easy target, now spoke of Earth with a mix of fear and respect. The Council shifted its gaze to more compliant worlds, subtly steering clear of any further engagement with humans. Earth had made its point without need for further conflict. For the people of Earth, life continued without celebration or victory parades. This was never about proving superiority or gaining recognition. They hadn't sought to change the galaxy's perception but had simply defended what they valued. Earth's leaders had no intention of flaunting their technology or flexing their newfound influence. The Sentinel was placed on standby, and those who had developed it returned to their lives, quietly content with the knowledge that humanity was safe. Yet, the galaxy had changed. The Council's authority, once ironclad and unquestionable, had been shaken. Stories of Earth's swift and devastating response spread across Council-controlled systems and beyond. Species long subdued by the Council now saw a glimmer of hope. If Earth could stand its ground, perhaps others could too. Those whispers became quiet embers of resistance, a newfound resilience in the face of the Council's power. Earth's silence became legendary, its absence of boasting or explanation making it all the more intimidating. The Council's top officials were left with a haunting question: what other powers did Earth conceal? How much of its technology and strength remained hidden? Humanity's restraint unsettled them more than open aggression ever could. The unknown factor lingered, a reminder that Earth had wielded power sparingly, and if provoked again, they might have even more devastating measures in reserve. Alien worlds began reaching out to Earth, quietly, subtly. A diplomat from a planet known for its rebellious past extended an offer of friendship, acknowledging humanity's impressive defense. Trade requests appeared from worlds under the Council's eye, small tokens of solidarity from those who admired Earth's resilience. The humans responded modestly, either encouraging rebellion nor refusing goodwill. Earth's leaders understood that their influence was now beyond politics. They had become a symbol, though they had never sought to be one. For the Council, Earth's quiet strength forced a reevaluation of their long-held policies. The days of unchecked power had ended, and an uneasy caution crept into their dealings. Earth had no need to assert itself further. Its actions spoke louder than any formal declaration ever could. As the Council struggled to regain its authority, Earth remained steadfast, a planet undisturbed and uninterested in conquest, focused instead on its own path forward. The galaxy now understood Earth's place, a quiet force, watching but not interfering, powerful yet restrained. And for the Council, that silent strength was a lasting reminder of the limits of their control, a sobering reality that would shape their choices for generations to come.